David Goggins, Mike Tyson. Two different worlds, the same fire. Talent fades when the lights go out. Obsession stays awake. Obsession doesn't care if you're tired, bored, or broken. It hunts for the limit just to tear it down again. Goggins calls it chosen suffering. Tyson called it control. But underneath lies the same truth. Mental strength beats talent when it's tested. The mind must be trained harder than the body, or both collapse. This isn't about being gifted. It's about being possessed by a purpose you refuse to quit on. Every champion who's ever built something that lasts lived by that code. The code of champions. Most people spend their whole lives running from pain. They dodge discomfort, distract themselves, defend their limits. But what if the pain you avoid is the gatekeeper to the real version of you? The one waiting behind fear, excuses, and comfort. That's the furnace David Goggins walked into. His life didn't begin in strength. It started with trauma and weakness. But he made a decision most never make. He stopped running from pain and started running toward it. That choice was the start of his mental transformation. There's a difference between the suffering life forces on you and the suffering you choose. The first leaves scars. The second builds structure. Goggins learned his mind was full of clutter, doubt, resentment, old memories. He described it like a crowded garage, stacked with junk he never dealt with. There was no space for discipline to live, no room for clarity to move. So he began a process of cleaning it out. One painful, deliberate act at a time, running until silence replaced the noise, training until fear lost its grip. Each repetition was a methodical way to sweep his mental floor. He did it as ritual. Chosen suffering became a system, a way to organize chaos. Every time he subjected himself to something hard, he created order. The pain wasn't random anymore. It had purpose. His daily runs, his extreme endurance challenges, all served one goal: mental clarity. As he stripped away the clutter, he found that suffering wasn't destroying him. It was building scaffolding for a stronger mind. Avoidance, he realized, is the real enemy of growth. The more you avoid, the smaller your life becomes. When you shield yourself from hardship, your capacity shrinks. But when you face discomfort voluntarily, you expand your range. Researchers call this process hormesis, when small, controlled doses of stress strengthen the system instead of breaking it. Voluntary endurance training increases not just physical toughness, but emotional balance. The body adapts, and so does the mind. Goggins lived this. Day after day, he went back into that furnace. He understood what was at stake. He said, "Your true self is found in that very uncomfortable zone. That's where identity is rebuilt." Pain became both destruction and creation, tearing down the weaker self to make room for something sharper, cleaner, more focused. Through repetition, suffering stopped being a monster. It became a tool, an internal architect laying bricks of discipline. There's power in deciding that pain doesn't control you. You control how it's used. Goggins turned it into design. The endurance, the silence, the exhaustion, each was a blueprint for his mental architecture. That's what obsession looks like when it meets suffering. A precise, deliberate transformation from chaos to order. Pain isn't the real problem. Avoidance is. When you stop running from hardship, pain turns into structure. Structure turns into discipline. Discipline turns into freedom. And once the mind learns to build shape out of suffering, it's ready for something even more dangerous. Because if obsession can forge strength out of pain, what happens when that same obsession locks eyes with power? How does a fighter born from chaos learn to master the same fire that once destroyed him? Mike Tyson grew up surrounded by violence and fear. He was volatile, unpredictable, always on edge. But within that turbulence lived a raw hunger. When Cus D'Amato entered his life, he saw it immediately. Tyson wasn't driven by arrogance or talent. He was driven by fear. Cus taught him how to harness it, how to turn emotion into method. Tyson's chaos evolved into something surgical. Every great fighter battles two opponents: the person across the ring and the one inside their own mind. For Tyson, the second was always stronger. Cus drilled discipline into his routine until control became instinct. Tyson's obsession started as domination, but it matured into mastery. Real strength, Cus told him, comes when power obeys command. Tyson didn't want to just strike harder. He wanted to think sharper. He studied every opponent, turning boxing into a science of controlled violence. Fear never left him. Tyson once said, "I'm totally afraid. I'm afraid of losing. I'm afraid of being humiliated." But the closer he got to the ring, the stronger his confidence grew. By accepting fear instead of denying it, he could use it. The adrenaline that once made him impulsive now sharpened his movements. Cus called fear the greatest obstacle to learning, and Tyson trained with it. Each bout was like a psychological exposure exercise. Through repetition, the body learned to operate under extreme pressure. What once triggered chaos now triggered clarity. Psychologists describe this as fear exposure therapy. Facing small, controlled doses of what scares you until the reaction loses its power. Tyson lived that principle daily. He discovered that obsession isn't madness. It's order learned through chaos. But obsession has two paths: mastery or destruction. Tyson walked both. In the ring, discipline turned him into a force of nature. Outside it, destruction returned. That taught him a crucial lesson. Obsession without self-awareness eats itself. Power without restraint collapses. Real power, he learned, comes from discipline. It's the art of holding the flame without letting it burn your hand. Goggins built order from pain. Tyson built it from control. But obsession can take other forms. When it finally learns to flow, not just fight. Obsession is the quiet force that turns pain into clarity, fear into control, and repetition into greatness. It's the code that carries every champion beyond comfort. If you want to grow, start by choosing your suffering. Seek challenge on purpose. Organize your mind before your day begins. Build daily rituals that demand consistency, even when you feel tired or lost. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. Comfort breeds average. Effort builds legacy. So push through the edge. Stay obsessed with your evolution, because average dies in comfort, but obsession creates something that never fades. Talent fades when the lights go out, but obsession stays awake. It's the code that keeps champions alive long after the applause fades. If this inspired you, give it a like, subscribe for weekly wisdom, and share your thoughts below to grow the inner strength community.